Hey guys, welcome to the TOWTalk podcast live stream. We are live here. It is Tuesday, June 30th, day before July. It's summer, it's warm. Neil, what's going on?
So we have a lot going on that we were going to be discussing. There's a new ice facility going into the town of Newburgh, so we'll chat about a little about that. We have the vehicle, which was apparently tabled at the last town board meeting here in the town of Walkill. We'll talk a little about that. We have the cancellation of the town of Walkill fireworks due to heat. It's going to be over 100 degrees. It's going to be crazy hot out, right? We're talking like swamp ass hot out. So it's going to definitely be hot out. So definitely try to stay cool and stay in. Look for those cooling centers if you don't have air conditioning. And obviously, a bunch of SCOTUS stuff came down today.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We're apparently all remain citizens of the United States. Yay! Congratulations to us, right? Since they were trying to say if that you were a child of an immigrant, which I am not, thankfully, but my parents are, and they're both still alive. So, if you're a child of an immigrant, you would no longer be a citizen of the United States. So, we're all remain citizens. That's great. Congratulations to all of us. All right. We have mail-in ballots. We're allowed to still do mail-in ballots. Woo! So that's another win for us.
Yeah, we'll go into that a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to go into all this stuff, all right? I'm just giving sort of the highlights. We have, Trump remains a rapist. So we have that.
Yes.
Too. Apparently that happened today. We have the 250 mall celebration, which in DC, which apparently is a bust. They had about 10 people show up. Not even tens of tens. Like they had 10 people show up.
10
right?
people.
And then you have the disaster, the impending disaster of the DC fireworks. So all that you're going to hear tonight. So welcome aboard. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You click that bell to know when we're going to be coming on, and make sure that you put your name in the comment section. Let us know that you're here and ask questions. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to know exactly what it is that brings you here. We'd love to hear your comments on what we're talking about. Obviously, Denise and I are just giving our opinions here, and that's it. So, we would love to hear your opinions. So make sure you say hello and join in. We'd love to hear from you.
So let's get
Denise,
into it. Yeah, go.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right.
Where would you like to start?
So let's start with the local stuff that's going on. I think the big thing is I didn't even know this was happening, but apparently some Houston firm secured a lease at a warehouse in Newburgh, and that's going to be leased. It's a 15-year lease, and it's going to ICE, I think. This is what's happening.
So, ICE has been operating in the Newburgh area for a while here in Orange County. If anybody, for anybody new that's joining us, we are in Orange County, New York. So we are what we consider to be the furthest north that you can be, right, in New York, north of the city, where you can still be a municipal employee, believe it or not. So that's our claim to fame up here in Orange County. So we have a lot of municipal workers that live up here, but that's a side tangent. So the town of Newburgh has been hosting basically the lawyers for ICE. So what if you don't understand what they did? Okay, the lawyers were tasked with stripping, right, immigrants of their legal status, whatever that may be, right? So if somebody was in immigration court, right, for an asylum case, these lawyers would be there to try to find a way to make sure that court hearing didn't happen, okay, and that they stripped those immigrants of their rights, right, of their due process, right, so that they could be deported. They could have that expedited deportation, okay, and that's what those lawyers were tasked with doing, Okay, so they're not the good guys either, right? Like, I mean, we talk about what ICE does, but they've been here a while operating, sort of underground. I mean, because they're lawyers, they operate in the background. But a lot of the people who are being taken away, right, who are being picked up by ICE, right? The first like kind of like salve, right, into getting them picked up is from the lawyers,
Yeah.
right? And if that's not the first, what ends up happening is if they end up picking up somebody who isn't on their radar, okay, then it goes to those lawyers, and those lawyers are the ones that, right, make the decision and try to figure out a way to get those people expedited, deportation.
Yeah, just to get them
So
out of the country.
right. So they've been operating in this community for a while. Now it looks like they're looking to put a detention facility next to the airport, right? I mean,
Did
next to Stewart Airport to
did
get them out of the
anybody
area faster.
did
Faster.
anybody know this was going on until the news broke just today?
No, apparently I don't think so. Only because it was reported. So I guess that group that reports on this stuff, what are they called there? God, now it slipped my mind. Project Saltbox.
Yes, Project
Okay,
Sofa. Yeah,
right. So
they're
they just reported on it today, so I guess it wasn't even on their radar.
wow. Wow. And for those who don't know, Project Saltbox you can find on Substack. Just look up Project Saltbox. They monitor and keep track of all of these warehouse facilities um, that are growing. It's interesting because, um, you know, I had seen somewhere that allegedly DHS was abandoning the warehouse detention centers, and that was a bullshit. That was is
And
turning
I
out to be
told you
bullshit.
that was not true. I
Yeah,
told you
and
that
you were
was not
right.
true.
Yep. So you can't believe anything that comes out of this regime. They'll tell you one thing, and then it's something else. So
Right. So if so, apparently there is a meeting in the town of Newburgh where the facility is. There is a meeting for residents on July 13th, okay, and at 7 p.m. And the residents will have a chance to sound off on the ICE facility, which will be located at 800 Corporate Boulevard in
okay,
the town of Newburgh. So, I just want to throw that out there. I think it's important that we all come out to these kind of things, and let the local leaders know that we're against this,
yeah,
right? Like, this isn't what we want in our community. We see what's happening in other communities. We see what's happening at Delaney Hall in New Jersey, right? We see what's happening in Portland, Oregon. We see what's happening in Minnesota. We don't want that in our community. Nobody wants that in their community. Absolutely nobody. Nobody wants a concentration camp in their community, right?
no,
Like, I mean, 50 years from now, what are we gonna have? Steve Newhouse giving tours at the fucking concentration camp, going, "Oh, this was our concentration camp that we had in Orange County while I was
God,
county executive." I mean, what the fuck? Come on,
yeah,
right?
no,
Like,
it's a
it's absolutely appalling to me. It's appalling to me.
yeah. Yeah. Um, so anyway, you said again, just give the address again where the location is. Maybe I'll type that in.
I don't have the location of where
The meeting
um
was
the meeting is going to be. I would assume it's going to be at Town Hall, or in the
in the
town of Newburgh.
town of Newburgh
So
Town Hall. Okay.
you would have to look that up,
I could probably find that
but
out.
that shouldn't be hard for people to look up. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Town Hall in the town of Newburgh in Orange County, New York. Right. I would also send your letters, write letters to the town supervisor there. Let him know that you're against this, this facility, that you're against concentration camps in your local community. And hopefully, we can get this thing stopped. I don't think anybody wants it. I mean, It puts stress on your local on all your local hospitals. So you're talking Garnett, Middletown Medical, St. Luke's, all those facilities are going to be completely overloaded. Not only that, you have high incidences of communicable diseases, which run
Yes.
rampant through these facilities, right? Which end up in your local community because now you have people in your local community who are working those facilities and then bringing out those communicable diseases to the rest of the community, right? We've seen that in Florida and we've seen that in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Where the local hospitals are overwhelmed and they don't have the facilities to manage, right, those type of communicable diseases where you can quarantine people. Okay? We're talking about like whooping cough, you're talking about mpox, you're talking about smallpox. You're talking about crazy shit,
Mm-hmm.
and not only that, you have high incidences of rape, in these
Yes.
facilities, where teenagers are being raped by ICE, detention officials, like this. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants this. And we as a community have to come out and again, it's not just the town of Newburgh. I'm talking about the greater Orange County community, right? This is something we all have to be behind,
Yeah.
to stop it because they're coming. And again, I'm gonna go with it's not just gonna be immigrants in these facilities. They are ramping up to put Americans in these facilities, and they're looking at kangaroo courts. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we saw what happened in
In
Texas, and if you
Texas.
don't think that that was a kangaroo court, they wouldn't seat a minority on that jury. The jury that was down there, they wouldn't seat a minority. Every single one of those people on that jury were MAGA.
Right. Right.
Okay, so
I mean, you
like
have that was awful. I mean, you have people with have actually committed murder getting lesser sentences.
it's not about the sentence. It's about the fact that they're holding now kangaroo courts,
Right.
right? If you think that there's a justice system in the United States that's going to protect you from these people, you are wrong. You are absolutely 100% wrong. Okay? These people will find a way. Okay? Those people in Chicago, right? The Chicago 5,
Mhm.
who got arrested, Kadab Ghazale and a bunch of others who got arrested. They got lucky in the fact that they had good attorneys, right? That asked for, discovery, that tried to get the discovery, and then when ICE refused to hand over the discovery, they dropped the charges, right?
Right.
In
Right.
Texas, I don't know what it is. The lawyers and the judges were all sort of paid off. They wouldn't give them anything, and we've seen, what have we seen? We've seen grand juries that
Mhm.
have been manipulated where they've discharged jurors on grand juries just because they wouldn't vote the way they wanted them to.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So we need to this needs to go.
Yeah.
This we need to do everything we can to make sure that this goes.
So July 13th in New Town of Newburgh Town Hall, 7 p.m. There will be a meeting, a public meeting where you can speak out and give your opinion about this. And I'm pretty sure there will be a demonstration just like we did in Chester. There were a couple of
Yep.
demonstrations and it worked. We were able to stop it, and so that's what we got to do. All right, folks, moving on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the police car. What the hell is going on with the police car in the town of Wallkill?
So last week, so to fill everybody in on the background, okay, um, there was a resolution to purchase a new Chevy, whatever it was, the
Okay.
big cars, right? Right. There was and apparently that was a vehicle that was going to be designated for the chief of police. Now, a little bit of background, about how things work in local municipalities that I think people aren't really aware of.
Okay.
Okay. Um, you know, the the board so the board's responsibility is to oversee everything, right? And to vote on financial things. But the day-to-day management of you know, your budgets, right? Your department budgets are managed by the department heads. Okay? Anybody who tells you differently is wrong. It's absolutely managed by the department heads. Okay? And it has to be, right? Like you look at the way the budgetary process goes, the department heads are the ones that submit their budget, right? Then the board goes through it and they make the determination of whether they want to keep stuff or not keep stuff, right? So they submit things to the budget officer puts everything together, hands it over to the town board then makes the decision about what they want to keep and what they want to discard, right? And what
Okay.
they agree with and what they don't agree with. So the day-to-day management of your budget is up to the department heads. So the chief manages his own budget, right? But we saw, okay, going back to we saw, okay, like what happened, okay, when with his budget, right? Like I mean, we showed that on last week's episode, I believe, where we talked about hold on, let me see, where we didn't I last week didn't I think I put up a
You put up
spreadsheet,
a spreadsheet.
right,
Yeah.
that showed that
Ha-
over the last 3 years, right? The last 3 years, the town of Walkill, right? And I'll put it up again. Sorry, I was just trying to pull it up again. Okay. Right? The last 3 years, okay, that the let me see if I can make it bigger for everybody.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Over the last 3 years, the police department, right, was over budget, right? I mean, you know, like you could look at it, the police department was over budget.
Right. Right.
So, how does that happen? Okay,
Yeah, you're
it
not taking care of your books. That's how it fucking happens.
you're not taking care of your books, but in part it happens because either somebody isn't budgeting properly or the board isn't doing their job, right? It's one or the other because the board has to keep the department heads, right? I mean, if you think about it, you know, if you're working the highway, you want to pave every road if you can, right? Like, and that if you had an unlimited budget, you do as much paving as possible. Same with
Yeah.
the police department. If you had an unlimited budget, you would buy everything you can. You would buy, you know, you name it. You would buy vehicles. You would have more police officers. You would do everything you possibly can. Okay, but you have limited budgets, and it's up to the board to manage that and to manage the department heads. All right. So you know when stuff gets presented to you, you're like, oh, is this budgeted for?
Right.
Right. and
Right.
and a lot of times they may say yes, but you have to check that stuff, you know, you have to make sure.
Right.
So in this instance, what ended up happening is that the chief put on the agenda that he wanted a new Chevy Tahoe, right? And it wasn't budgeted for. And thankfully, you know, Councilman Vanilla caught that it wasn't budgeted for. He said, we need to table this. And it was tabled,
There you
you
go.
know, and that's sort of the thing. It's this idea of, you know, and so I had a conversation, you know, when I was on the town board. All right. And I said, there because we had constantly, and this is I want to share this with the public because I really think this is important. Okay. Your your police department comes to you all the time and says it's not budgeted for, but we want this. Right? Or we need this, or this is an emergency and you have to approve this. They do that all the time. Okay?
Oh,
It
really?
happens all the time, right? And it's your job as the civilian oversight and as the town board to be responsible, right? Be ethical and say, okay, that I understand we're going to do that, but no, you can't have that. If you want to put that in next year's budget, you can put that in next year's budget and we'll have that conversation, right? But you're not going to try to ram this through. Here's the thing. Being on the board for 8 years, right? I was labeled, okay, as being either anti-police or whatever the fuck they wanted to call it, against the police or whatever, right? And I am absolutely for the police. The police officers talk to me all the time, right? But they love to have this public view because I voted no a lot, right? When it came to this shit, right? That somehow, no, I'm for proper budgeting.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what I was for. I went to the chief and I said, put it in the fucking budget.
Right.
Okay? And he was like, no, I'm more apt to get it this way if I don't put it in the budget and I just do these one-offs. I'll get some of it, but I won't get all of it. And he used to do this all the time. And this was his game that he played. And I always got labeled as the bad guy because I was always the one saying no. And I was always the one going, no, it has to be budgeted. Okay?
Right.
So as you can see, in the last budget Supervisor Dendato did, the police were under budget. Okay? The 3 years since that point in time when I had no access to financial information and you had Supervisor Serrano, they were way over budget. They just kept going over budget. It didn't matter, right?
You're blowing through.
The board just kept approving whatever it was that they wanted, okay? And you know, like, you have to manage your department heads. You have to.
Yeah, of course.
Have to. Okay? It's important for the town. It's important for everybody. Again, follow your budgets. Everybody stays safe, right? The money stays safe. You're securing the town's assets, right? And you're making sure that you have long-term planning in place, right? This town has been run by emergency purchases, right, since I got on the board. Okay? Everything came in as an emergency purchase. Oh my God, we need to approve this tomorrow. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to get it. Oh my God, we have to go out. Like, there was no planning at all for anything. And that's why I was so concerned, because I kept seeing all these, like, approval of these ad hoc purchases. And I'm like, there's no way we're under budget. There's no way, right?
You just keep spending like that, and then you're going to run over.
Like that, right? Like, there's no way, you know. But they were manipulating the books, you know, for the first half
we know
of my
that.
term. And then all of a sudden, they were just like, you know, they just got spend happy. But this is another instance of, you know, a department head coming to the town board saying, you know, this is what I want. Right? Doesn't need it. Doesn't need a new car, right?
But he wants one.
But he wants one, right? So, you know, we as the taxpayers have to pick that shit up, right? And if you're against it, or you're like me and you come out and talk about it, right, in a meaningful and intelligent way, right? Talking about money and budgets and whether there's a need or a want,
right?
Okay, you know, and what do you end up getting? You end up getting labeled, right, as being something you're not. Okay.
Wow.
You know, if you want to call me anything, you could call me, like, yeah, when it comes to budgets and it comes to managing money, I'm very frugal with that stuff. I'm very frugal with it, you know, like, I mean, you know, you have to have boundaries and you have to say no. Like, I mean, like little kids, you have to say no to people every once in a while. Like, I'm sorry, you know, like, proper budgeting is important. It's for the safety of everybody.
Right. So what are they doing? So at this point, they're going to put it aside.
It's been tabled. I don't think it's coming back.
Okay.
I don't think it's coming back.
And he's just not taking. And so he's all bent out of shape because he's not getting his car.
I don't know what he is, you know, but from my standpoint, it just gets on my nerves because budget it.
Yeah, like, I mean,
like you want something, put it in your fucking budget. I'm so sick and tired of people thinking that budgets are like, you know, oh well, you know, they don't mean anything, you know,
until they mean something.
Right, like budgets mean something, right? Like you're going out and taxing your residents. You're telling your residents what you are spending money on. If it's not in your budget and you haven't disclosed it, which these guys haven't disclosed anything for years, right? Then you can't hold anybody accountable.
Right. So
And that's
folks,
the problem.
yeah, so folks, this is the reason why you need to go to your town halls and find out what they want to spend your money on. These are your tax dollars. You know, I mean, does he have a company car right now that he's driving on?
Yeah,
That he's driving?
he has a Chevy Tahoe. He has his current Chevy Tahoe.
And how old is it? That a big, it's not
It's
that
only
old.
like 3 years old.
Oh, please give me a break. You don't need another car. Keep driving around with what you fucking got. We got more important things to worry about.
What we don't talk about in this town, right? What we don't talk about in this town enough, right? And I think every municipality should be aware of this, right? Because it adds to the cost of your municipality, right? Is the idea that certain employees are allowed to drive their car, right, wherever the hell they want, right? They're allowed to drive their car home with them, right? So like a number, right? So in the town of Walkill, right, it's been talked about, right? Like people are talking about this, but every employee, it's not just like the supervisor taking the car, right? Like it's everybody's taking their car. The chief takes the car to Westchester to his job in Westchester, right? Like I mean, the chief of police, like we want to start talking about full-time supervisor. How about a full-time chief of police?
Wait,
Chief of police,
yeah,
chief of police has another job. He has his own law practice. Like, I mean, so he has his own law practice in Westchester, and he's allowed to take the town vehicle to Westchester and back. All right.
really? With all the shit that they're complaining about,
Right.
with Frank running around Orange County with the car, but somehow it's okay for the police chief to go all the way to Westchester. Give me a fucking break.
We have highway guys that are allowed to take their vehicles to Pennsylvania. We have our detective bureau that's allowed to take their cars to Newburgh and other places around Orange County. All approved, by the way, by Eric Valentin, Mark Coyne, Eric Johnson, right? Like
the same people, same crew.
Same fucking people, right? I voted no to those resolutions, okay? But these guys all voted yes. And again, I go with, these are all resolutions. This is all public information. Go check out the record, right? I'm not saying anything, right, that people don't already know or that isn't a matter of public record, okay? I'm just not.
Wow.
This is what it means to be on a board, right? Like, is making these decisions, all right? And then if you make a decision, right? Again, I voted no to some of these things. I'm now anti-police because I won't let people take fucking cars wherever the hell they want, because I know that when you add miles to a car, commuting miles to a car, okay, then that means that car depreciates faster,
yep.
And that means that you have to buy more cars. Why do you think we're always buying cars in this fucking town?
Wow. So Marty said the police chief is a full-time position. Why is he practicing law in another county when he's supposed to be at the goddamn town hall police department?
Yeah, good question there, Marty.
Because that's not an elected, unlike the supervisor and the council members who are elected to their positions, this is an employed position, correct? They're appointed.
This is an appointed position, but there is a civil service test. So he took, so it's a weird, one of those weird positions, but you have to canvass for it, every few years. Especially with the chief. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things here like that I could get into that I'm just not going to get into. But yeah, there's a, like, I really, what my point is, there's a lot of things that add to the cost, and some of them are reasonable and some of them are necessary. Okay. And some of them aren't. Okay. And listen, I voted no. They voted yes. Somebody else gets on the board. Maybe they vote yes. Maybe they vote no. Right. Like, but my thinking is this should all the public should be aware of what their votes are instead of just being told, well, he's anti-police and he's pro-police, right? Like, what makes somebody that, right? Like, because if you hear, other people hear what I have to say and they say, wow, that's completely rational. And I would probably vote the same way. So that means if you would vote the same way as me, then you would be considered anti-police too. Like it's so ridiculous. My mom was in law enforcement. Like it's absolutely insane to me to think, right? Like I just know. I know the inner workings here, right? Like I know
Right,
how,
right.
it's like knowing how the sausages are made. You know how the sausages are made. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, I don't have the same, the veil has been lifted with me. Like I don't have
Yeah.
the same like, I'm just gonna rubber stamp everything that everybody else does, I guess.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, that's interesting. We're gonna keep watching on this because I'm curious to see where this goes.
Yeah,
But
I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. I think that it ends right there.
okay, well, good.
So that'll be
Um,
good.
so what's going on? So the fireworks, there was supposed to be a fireworks display this Thursday, July 2nd, for for July 4th, and it's is it being postponed or canceled altogether? Dude,
I don't know whether it's being postponed altogether or whether it's being canceled. It says being canceled at the moment, so I don't know if they have a future date in mind. I know that the temperatures are going to be 100 degrees or more,
yeah.
Thursday, and it's gonna. I mean, you're talking heat, you're talking dry weather. It's not like it's been raining. So just
Oh
the other.
yeah, the risk, fire risk.
Right. So now you're risking brush fires, you're risking any types of fires. I mean, so this week in the town of Waukegan, right? Not to give too much detail, there was a fire where, it's very dry out, and somebody was mowing their lawn and they took their hot lawnmower, put it into their garage, okay, and the garage caught fire because it's so dry out.
That was that
And so
fire that
hot.
Blaze
Yeah, that
reported?
was the fire. That was the fire.
Where was that?
Yeah.
Where,
I don't know. I think it was somewhere down Silver Lake Scottshawn Road.
wow.
But
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you, like, like risk of fire is very high right now.
yeah.
Avoid burning stuff. You know, um, just if you mow your lawn, don't put it away right away. Let it cool down first. It's really hot out, and I give the supervisor a lot of credit. I'm sure. See, I'm sure his predecessor would have had, because all he cared about is the parties. Not only that, he got to hang out in the golf, in the catering hall in the golf course, right, where they had air conditioning. So he didn't give a shit, right? And again, it was all about the parties to them. So they would
Right.
have they would have had it. But when you talk about public safety, this is the right decision to make.
Yeah.
This was absolutely 100% the right decision to make. So good for him.
Well, it increases, liability if something goes wrong, and a fire does start. So, it's safe liability. It's just a whole lot of different metrics. God forbid somebody gets sick from the heat. You got that, so you need to have EMS handy for a number of reasons. So, but hopefully it'll start to rain and they can reschedule it even if it's a couple of weeks out. That's it.
Would be nice.
Yeah. So,
We'll see.
we'll
There's a
see.
lot of stuff going on right now. And for anybody thinking that they're going to watch the DC fireworks,
Yeah.
right, on 4th of July, here's what I'm going to tell you. Don't wait up, right? Cuz it's going to be fucking late affair. Right? He's going to do 45 minutes of talking. He has to have a flyover. Nobody's going to be in the mall because no one's allowed to bring water at all, any drinks or food, right? It's going to be a freaking shit show. They ain't even going to start the fireworks until after 11. If you want to stay up, more power to you. You know, that ain't happening.
I got something to show you. So I don't know how many people follow Jim Acosta. He's a well-known journalist. He took a video from the Freedom 250 Festival, and let me see if I can pull this up here. I'm gonna get this. Hang on, see if I can spread that out. There we go. I'm gonna share my screen. There it is. All right. Oh, it went back to, hang on. Let me see if I can spread this out. There we go. All right. Let's move this. Make sure I'm back here.
Well, here we are in the National Mall checking out the Great American State Fair, Donald Trump's version of America's 250th birthday here in the nation's capital. And if you're looking for a place with really no lines whatsoever, then you better come down to the mall. There's even a miniature version of Donald Trump's arch. Isn't that cute? Look at that little thing right there. Yeah, as you can see, no line to get in. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're on the National Mall. It's probably the nicest weather of the week, and there are no lines to get in.
There are more National Guard
Hardly
troops there.
Anybody in line. Surely there must be a long line for the Ferris wheel. It's the big attraction down here. Let's take a look.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's about lunchtime. I'm a little parched. Could use a burger or something. I hope there's not a long line in here.
Wow.
This is the arch that they put down on the National Mall. Look at this. There's a huge gap. I mean, this is a pretty good example of the shoddy construction down here. Look at these gaps in between these faux columns and one of the main pavilions down here.
Oh my God, look at that.
Actual ground. It's like 2 or 3 feet. But Trump is everywhere, like inside this agriculture department booth. You can also sign up for Trump's savings accounts in the Treasury Department booth. And where would the Great American State Fair be without their own propagandists? Yes, there they are. There's Fox News doing their programming from down here on the National Mall, probably telling everybody what a massive celebration there is going on. The fossil fuel industry seems to have their own little talk that's going on. They're doing like a panel discussion, and there's nobody listening, just a few people.
The threats that are growing with the growth of AI, the ability before you need a nation.
Well, in one of these pavilions, I found a sweeping exhibit that can only be described as an ode to the religious right.
Here we have our great nation that we want to make great again.
Wow. Let me stop. Wow. That's a unbelievable. I have no words.
Yeah.
It's really, you would have thought that at that there would have been hundreds of people, but there's like barely tens of people. I mean, in some of those views, there was less people than you could count on one hand. Wow. Well, you know, and there's some interesting, information coming out about this. There was a plan that was put together in 2016 with the Smithsonian to have they were calling it America 250, and actually, yeah, they were calling it America 250, and they had raised roughly about $103 million back in 2016, and that was supposed to go towards putting together a month-long festival of festivals, and they were going to have the Grand Ole Opry. They were going to have Burning Man, some of these really well-known nationwide festivals put together for a month-long event, and they would have had a lot more. And he not only took over the event to make it about himself, but he canceled all of the permits that the America 250 organization had gotten together to put on this month-long festival. So the question is, Where did that $103 million go?
He's pocketing everything. I mean,
Of
come on,
course.
let's get real. He's pocketing everything. Not only that, I mean, let's be honest. If it was done by a past president or a past administration, it's no good.
Right.
You know, he would rather spend more money. Okay. You know, I mean, as we've seen, he would rather spend more money to make it for him to own it, right? We're seeing that with everything. Doge, right? Now he's owning all the failures in government all across the board, right? USAID, you know, everything is it's just all propaganda, right? Just as Marty is saying. And that's what it is. I don't even know what to say anymore. I can't.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just can't.
this it's a shame. Now, you know, I don't know about you, but yeah, oh God, I hate to admit this, but I'm old enough to remember the 200th birthday. I was a little kid, but there was so many things going on. I remember going to an event dressing as a pilgrim, and you know, there was stuff on TV all the time, and it was really, really well promoted and excited, and like it's pretty sour right now.
Listen, I used to have an economics teacher, Middletown High School.
Okay.
I went to Middletown High School. All right. I used to have an economics teacher who said, America's been around for 200 years. It's doubtful that America will make it another 200.
Really?
You know, he was a VMA graduate, right? That's Virginia Military Academy. I mean, the guy was a vet. The guy like did everything. He was a soccer coach. He's a Hall of Famer here in Middletown. The guy is absolutely was an amazing teacher, right? One of my best teachers that I had. And to this day, right? Like, I mean, I owe him so much,
Yeah.
you know, and watching my country, you know, I mean, just the neoliberalism that's here, you know, that they're putting through, it just baffles me. And that kind of brings me to a clip I would like to play for everybody.
Sure.
I feel like now would be a good time to play that. So I'm gonna play this clip real quick.
Roots of the Democratic Party run deep as America does when it comes to socialism. So many of the things that we have today, whether it's the weekend, 8-hour workday, interstate highway systems, electricity, like the TVA, the ability to build capitalist system on top of what we have comes from socialism. Fire departments, the military, the VA, like socialism is all through this entire economy. It's all through this entire country. The thing that we have, the country, the greatest country on the earth, was built with a combination of socialism and capitalism. That is when things work the best. And what we've had for the last, say, 40 or 50 years, they call neoliberalism. And that's where the Republicans and the Democrats like the DLC and Bill Clinton and James Carville got together with the Republican Party and decided they had it figured out. And we didn't need to build stuff anymore. We didn't need to make stuff anymore. And that socialism was a bad thing and that we should reject it. And they were wrong. And it's destroyed this country's ability to create what it needs. It's destroyed our ability to create infrastructure. It's destroyed our ability to handle the complications and the challenges that get thrown at us. And it's even penetrated our ability to be militarily capable. Right now, we don't have the capacity to produce the armaments that we need to support, say, for example, the Ukrainians. We are not able to build the amount of things that we need to have a defensive posture against an enemy. And that's because we sold off our means.
Nope.
Yeah, got cut off. But I mean, you get the gist of it, right? It's the idea that we used to build things in this country. You know, we used to innovate in this country. And I recently heard, on some podcast or another, or actually on news, on the Fox News, right, and CNBC and all these news channels, that we should look that billionaires create things, right, are the job creators. They're the ones that are doing the innovative. No, right? Here's what I'm going to tell you. Microsoft didn't innovate anything. Microsoft didn't build anything other than the name Microsoft, right? They stole everything that they got, right? They stole, right? The only thing they think they built was like that the original like DOS, right? But at the end of the day, what did they do? Right? Like they piggybacked off of IBM system, okay, and then licensed it back to IBM, starting the subscription right economy. Okay, that was the original start of the subscription economy. They stole the mouse, right, from Apple.
Apple.
Okay,
And the Windows. Don't forget
right?
Windows.
And who did Apple steal the mouse from? Apple stole the mouse from HP, Hewlett Packard, right?
Really? I
Like,
didn't know that.
yeah, and then you start looking at some of the other things, right? Like Excel, Word, like those programs, you know, were around. Other companies had built those programs, but you
Right.
know, they had this licensing thing, and they were able to actually more better distribute it. Right. They were
Right.
able, you know, they got so big that they were able to buy smaller companies. And that's all these companies do. Somebody else is innovating, okay? And then they come in with their massive amounts of money and they say, well, you can either take our $5 million, right? Or we're just going to copy what you did and market it and put you out of business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And those really are your two choices. And that isn't capitalism, people. That
No.
just is not capitalism. Okay. And now we've got
It's like a mob mentality.
Right. And now we've gotten into fascism, right? You know, where the government and where corporations now control, right, and government control the means of not only production, right, but they control the markets. These markets are the most manipulated markets that you could possibly imagine, right?
Oh yeah.
If you haven't been watching gas prices and how the government, right, because Trump is the government now, is manipulating the market, then you're insane. Then you're not paying attention. Okay.
I think a lot of people have you know, pulled their money out. Mr. Global was noting that a lot of people have just you're not seeing as much movement in the market because a lot of the major players have just said, you know what, we're going to sit this one out because of all this back and forth.
Well, why would you put your money into a market? What? Like
There you
it
go.
would be like gambling, but it's rigged.
And it's rigged
Right?
against
Like,
you. It's rigged
it's
against
like-
you and rigged
It's
for
like
them.
it's like going to a casino, right? Putting your money down on the roulette wheel, and they have a little button underneath that ensures that you lose every fucking time.
Right.
Okay? Right? Why the fuck would you even go to that casino? Why would you make that bet? Okay? And this is the economy that we're in now. And you know, you have to, it has to stop. You know, I'm going to tell you, this country did the best, right? When it had robust capitalism, it supported small businesses, okay? At the same time, we had a good, strong social safety net.
Yeah.
Right? That's when we had the largest middle class in this country, right? And from that, we built unions, we built collective bargaining, we built a strong economy that was backed by workers, okay? And what this idea that workers don't produce anything, right? And aren't innovating and aren't like, I mean, like think about that. Like how
Oh yeah.
like without workers, these companies don't exist. Like they can't do anything. If everybody walked out of these companies, right? If everybody walked out of Tesla, there would be nothing. Okay? It boggles my mind. It just boggles my mind that people are still thinking like they get thrown terms and they don't know what the terms mean. They don't understand what they're talking about. They hear capitalism and socialism and they think, well, socialism is bad, capitalism is good, right? They don't understand that some of the greatest things we have in this country are socialism, right? Medicare, Medicaid, workers'
Social
comp,
Security,
right?
workers.
Unemployment. Okay. All right. You have so many things that socialism, the 40-hour work week, 5-day work week, that's socialism. Okay. I mean, we have so many things that are in our daily lives. And if you really say you're against socialism, then you would have no problem with your boss coming to you and saying, I want you to work 7 days a week
For the same money.
for the same money. Right. And no overtime. Not that you remember, socialism gave you overtime pay. So that means you get no overtime pay, which means that you're subject to whatever your boss wants to pay you.
Yeah, that's what it was. We used to call them, and I learned about this when I was in school, but I don't think younger people learn about it in school. Learn about the sweatshops, the turn of the century. Basically, everybody was a slave to their bosses. They were paid, but they were paid, very low. They were very low wages, and they were expected to work excessive hours. We all lost our minds when we saw what was happening in China, that these people were being overworked for such little money. As a result, they're getting more wealth now. They're getting more money, but we were upset about that. But people don't realize that was us. That was us 100 years ago. We were doing that, and that's where
My
the term
grandfather.
sweat. Yeah,
Right. My grandfather worked in a sweatshop.
yeah. So yeah,
He worked down in the garment district
Garment district. Yep.
in New York City, and he worked right next to where the Triangle Fire occurred. When the
Oh
Triangle
yes,
Fire occurred.
yes. You mentioned that once before. Yeah.
He was there. He was there.
So yeah. So
He
this
was
is,
downtown.
and they're still trying to convince you that these billionaires and their big corporations are going to be the job creators. While they're literally telling you, we plan to use AI and automation to replace all human, replace all human jobs. So they're not even doing that anymore.
It's actually even worse than that. It's not even just to replace our jobs, right? Ellison came out and said, okay, that the flock cameras are meant to skew the behavior of Americans to make us more compliant and better behaved.
Oh yes,
Okay?
yes.
All right. So like these billionaires are real garbage, okay, and are really destroying this country in every way, okay? And the only reason why your politicians are telling you differently is because they're being paid.
Yes.
Okay? They're not beholden to you. They could give two shits about you. Okay? If you watch the New York City Pride Parade, Chuck Schumer was walking and he was getting booed. Okay? And he smiled and waved that flag and he's like, I don't care. I got APAC money.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit. He's not beholden to you. He doesn't care about your vote. He doesn't care about your money, right? He's getting APAC money. He's like waving that flag going, APAC, I serve APAC. Screw you.
They literally have come out and said,
home. Right.
They literally have come out and said this. So, it's interesting because we sort of touched on this in our recordings about what this billionaire tech bro plan to take over the world is about. More Perfect Union, which is a great, you should follow. They have a channel on Facebook, on YouTube rather. More Perfect Union did a little deep dive into what they're doing and how they're looking to build. And you've talked about this too, about these freedom cities that they want to buy, and they've already started doing it. Like they're doing this in Honduras. I believe that island in Albania is one of their targets. There's a
What do you think they want to do with Greenland?
Yes, that's Greenland
for
because it's cool up there. And yeah.
They want to turn the United States into freedom zones controlled by them.
Yeah,
that's
each zone.
Okay. And so when people like come to me and they're wearing the flag or they're waving the flag at me and they're like Trump, 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 or MAGA, 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 all right, you understand you're a traitor. right? Like, because that is the most un-American thing imaginable. Okay, that we're gonna go down that path. Like the mere suspension of due process for anybody, right, should have everybody pausing in their tracks. Like, I have heard for decades in this country about gun control, about guns and the Second Amendment,
Oh
right?
shit. So,
You have your Fourth Amendment,
sorry about that.
and your Fourth Amendment isn't any different than the Second Amendment. Okay, all right, and the idea that you're going to deny people their constitutional rights, right? Because you have yours, okay, then you're no better than the Nazis. You're just no better than the Nazis. And I'm not trying to call you a Nazi. I'm saying you're no better than the Nazis, because that's exactly what they did. Okay. So I've just really had enough. I mean, I'm not here to cater to anybody's feelings. I think we have a lot of work to do in this country. I think we can all look at our local communities and say, we need new bridges, we need our roads paved, we need, this, we need infrastructure, right? We don't need more security cameras and more policing and more this. We need infrastructure projects. We need better roads. If you're driving on a road filled with potholes, that's an added tax that you have, because that means more maintenance on your car and your vehicle.
Good point.
Okay. All right. So people got to stop coming at me. I think I'm thinking of everything. I'm thinking globally, right, on how this impacts you personally. These things impact you individually in every way, right? Every dollar that's wasted at the federal level, at the state level, is coming out of your pocket. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? You worked hard for that money, right? You may be working your hourly wage, or you may be working whatever job that you have that pays you. Okay? You're giving 30, 40% to the government, right? Via sales taxes, via all these taxes. So it's coming out of your pocket, and then they're flushing the money down the toilet by saying, we're going to spy on you, right? We're going to ensure that whatever laws that that you broke, we're going to throw you in jail, right?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's, loitering, we're going to throw you in jail, because, we're making money off of that now.
Oh yes. Private
right?
prison's a big thing.
So it just got to stop.
So just think.
Gotta stop. There has to be an end somewhere, and people have to start taking back their tax dollars and say, this is how I want my money spent. That's why I played that clip from the Democratic Socialists, right?
Right.
That's why I played that clip, so that people understand their tax dollars can work for them. We just need to elect better people.
Right. Well, that's just it, right? So we have these uber wealthy people that are buying our politicians, and by the way, that's another fucking SCOTUS decision that basically determined that campaign finance can't be limited because it limits free speech, right? So money is speech, according to this Supreme Court, which is pretty lousy, but it's just, it tracks with the Citizens United and all. And but my point is that you have these billionaires, they're building these businesses, they want to replace us with AI and stuff. They're not the job creators. And when you want to have a good economy and a good country, they need these flock cameras. They need this security and surveillance, because they're making us poorer, right? They got to keep an eye on us. But if they created jobs, supported local business, right? Just like the New Deal did, which created jobs, created economies, increased wealth amongst the population, it just kind of took a life on its own. You didn't really have that much crime. The crime comes when you take away and people are struggling and they got to eat. And they have to allegedly steal diapers from a Walmart, which turned out to, she didn't steal it, but
Right.
But my point is that the crime comes when you don't have good governance that's supporting their communities and supporting the population. And that's what we're going to. You watch, right? I'm not going to go look it up here, but it was just a couple of weeks ago that Mike Johnson came out and said, we need to take care of the debt. The debt is way too high, so we're going to have to look at these entitlement programs as like Social Security and Medicare. They're not entitlements; they're benefits. They're benefits that you invested in that come out of your. It's your money, and he's literally signaling that they're going to look at paying the debt they're increasing at an alarming rate right now. But they want you and me to pay for it with our retirements, with our Social Security and Medicare money. Think about that.
They've been looking to steal the Social Security money and the Medicare money for decades now. And now they're being given the perfect opportunity to do it. And they have the corporate Democrats willing to do it with them, right? Like the Chuck Schumers and the Hakeem Jeffries of the world, right? Who will just cave to anything. And they're literally standing up there like superheroes of the status quo. We're here to defend the status quo. Yes, that's us. Right? I mean, that's who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't pretend that these people are somebody that they're not. Tom Swazi is one of them too, and he's here. I mean, these are all New York guys. And I say, we look at New York and we think like, oh, New York has all this money, and and we've always heard, oh, the Northeast liberal elite or the blue states. There isn't much difference between the blue states and the red states. Okay, there really isn't much different. Okay, it just happens to be as to how they give their money back to their donor class.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's really what it comes down to is how they fund their donor class.
Yeah.
And I think in the Northeast, I mean, we've just been lucky in the fact that we've gotten some more social services out of it. We've demanded more social services, but at the end of the day, what are we seeing? We're seeing, those slowly get chipped away at, right? They're chipping away.
Well, that's how they did it.
Right. And it's slowly disappearing, and it's slowly, and we're really lucky. And I'm going to say it, we're really lucky to have a guy like Mamdani there, right, in New York City, and he's showing that New Yorkers can have good things, that we can make government work. You just need the right person in the job. And for a long time now, for 50 years, we haven't had the right people in the job.
Right.
So the question is why do we keep electing shitty people?
Because
that's really our decision, right? Like, why do we keep electing shitty people?
Yeah, because they got big money for big advertisements, and they go on their name recognition. Can't do that anymore, folks. You got to look. You now really need to invest some time to investigate the people that are running. And now we're well into primary season, so I don't know how many more states have primaries left. But if you're in a state that has an upcoming primary, take a look at the non-establishment candidates. Take a look at the because those are the ones you want to look at. Those are the ones that are. They gotta knock on doors. They gotta work hard to get your vote, and listen to what their platforms are, what they're offering, what they're going to fight for. Are they going to fight for you?
No, well, you have to understand what they're telling you. Okay, right? Like, understand what they mean. Okay, if they're talking at you in platitudes and not giving you specific policy decisions, okay.
Right.
All right, then they're an empty suit and they have nothing, right? Here in the town of Waukegan, we have a supervisor candidate who's running that they're going to be a full-time supervisor. I don't know what that means. I don't know what they're bringing to the table. I don't know what that means in terms of policy.
What's her
right?
policy?
Especially given some of the problems the town's having. How is she planning on solving the problems? We had a full-time supervisor for 4 years prior to our current supervisor, and he drove the town into the ground. He drove the town into the bankruptcy. We're seeing, right, a president driving the country into the ground.
Big time.
Okay. So, and spending money hand over fist and increasing the debt and ensuring that the future for our children is even bleaker than it was previously. Okay. So tell me, people, like, we have to start holding these people accountable. That means asking them, what do you mean by this? Right? You're going to throw out a platitude like affordability. What do you mean? What's the specific policies that you're going to bring to the table that are going to help things become affordable? Zohran Mamdani went in, right, with a list of policies, right? Not platitudes, policies. Actual specific policies that resonated with the public. All right. Hakeem Jeffries has absolutely no policies. I've never heard him once talk about a policy. Every time they mention a policy to him, he goes, well, I need to look into that. I don't know. Right. He once said, and I heard him say it, right? Well, if somebody proposed a bill, I would put my name on it. Meanwhile, there were like 3 bills that were proposed, and his name was on none of them. Okay, right? Like, so we have to take more than the platitude. We have to take more than we have to look at their actions and what they're actually doing. Okay, we have a supervisor in this town, okay, who went out and lobbied the state to get us $4 million, right, to cover a budget hole because of poor financial management by the previous administration.
Yep.
Okay, right? So we need action. We need to know that there's a plan in place. Okay, when electing somebody can't come to my door and string together platitudes. We need specific items that they are going to put forth. Okay. Yep. Right? Like, is it okay to have a part-time chief of police, you know, who is moonlighting with another job, right? Like, is that okay? You know, like, I mean, I like the chief. He's a nice guy. But I mean, we have to ask these questions. If we're going to ask the question about the supervisor, then we have to ask that question about every employee.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Like, I mean, this is what it comes down to, right? Like, these are the tough questions that we all have to ask. And when it comes to the federal level, the same thing, right? What specific policies that are coming to the table? And that was, you know, those of us who knew Harris was an empty suit. Okay. The fact is, she came with no policies at all. No policies at all. No commitment at all to anything. Okay, right? There was nothing, and you couldn't walk to anybody's door and say, well, she's going to go and push for this. At least with Obama, we were like, well, he's going to push for healthcare. You know, like at least we were going to get something out of it. Like, literally, it was, I'm going to defend the status quo. Trump is going to drive everything into the ground, and I'm a defender of the status quo. And that's what the Democrats are offering us. And I think we're beyond the status quo at this point, especially since we've moved so far into fascism. I think we need specific policies now. I think you want to run for something. Tell us why you're running, and what you bring into the table, and what specific things do you want to accomplish, right? That are going to help our community, that are going to help the affordability aspect, that are going to bring jobs to our community, you know, all these things. What are you going to do, right? Specifically, that's really going to help people in our community. Like, enough's enough.
Yeah, there you go. You know, here, I'll put it out again. You know, Jill Wilkins, you're welcome to join us. You know, tell us what you're standing for, what your policy is. You know, reach out.
And once again, I'm going to plug. Denise and I are willing, you know, you pick your person, right, to ask questions. Denise, myself, and the person of your choice are willing to hold a debate, right, between the two supervisor candidates or any of the councilman candidates, right, to discuss, right, and we'll ask questions and we'll go from there, right?
Yeah.
We want to have a debate though. We think a debate is important, especially for these executive positions, right? We think the public deserves. I keep hearing what the public deserves. The public deserves a debate between candidates so that the candidates can put their policies and what they want to do on the table for the public to make a determination.
Yeah.
Enough's enough with this nonsense of, well, we're not going to debate. We're only going to go door to door and then lie on social media. Fuck that shit. Come on and debate. Otherwise, you're just a chicken shit. Okay. Right. And you have no fucking, and all you are is an empty suit. You're chicken shit and you're an empty suit because you don't want to put, right? You don't want to put yourself on camera in front of everybody against your opponent and talk about what it is in local government that we do.
There you go.
I want to debate. I want to debate.
So do I. All right, we want to debate. Folks, does anybody have any questions or anything? We've ran a little bit over, which we have been doing, which is okay because these things are fun. Yeah, these things are fun. I enjoy the live talk. We didn't get to everything, but we'll probably do that in a recording. Mainly some of the other SCOTUS decisions, but I'll either Neil and I'll put something else out. Oh wait, we got a comment. Hang on. So Marty is not happy with having a chief with a moonlighting as a lawyer elsewhere, having a full-time chief is moonlighting as a lawyer elsewhere.
Again, it goes to chief of police, just like the town supervisor, is not a 9-to-5 job.
So if he's got the time,
so if he manages his time, he can get his 40 hours per week. Okay. And work another job. He could be like the town supervisor does.
Right.
Just like any of the other employees that have the ability to do that thing, right? It's all the same. You know, you again, I go with, right? If you're going to go after one, you have to go after all of them, right?
Right.
Like you have to.
Yeah, you can't pick and choose.
You can't pick and choose your targets, right? I'm one of those people. It's blanket with me. Okay. I don't play favorites. Okay. I have people who know me get annoyed at me that I don't play favorites. That's like the one thing about me that I do. I don't play favorites. Everybody gets treated exactly the same. Okay.
Well, that's how it should be.
If the rules say this, then that's what the rules are. Right. Mm-hmm. Again, the board made the decision that this is what they're going to do. This is what past boards have decided. This is what boards decided. Okay. All right. So if you have an issue, it's not with the chief. It's not with the supervisor. It's with the board because this is what the board does.
Right.
Right. This is what the board has done in the past. Okay. So if you have an issue, that's who you have to take it up with. I brought these issues up. Nobody had an issue with any of these things, right? In fact, I was labeled anti-police because of my position on these things, right? Because I'm about everything being even, and I always look after my taxpayers first, right? That's what
you're supposed to do.
That was my. And again, everybody had a different opinion on it, right? I mean, I had taxpayers who said that they disagreed with me on that, and that's fine. You know, I get it. Like, I mean, these are not easy decisions. Being on a board is not fucking easy. And the decisions that you got to make aren't easy. And there's a lot of back and forth. But my pushback was more from the standpoint of if this is the decision you're going to make, you have to understand the financial impacts and then make the proper plan to plan for those financial impacts. The town had not done that.
Right.
So my opinion is if the town isn't going to do that part of it, then I can't vote. Then I can't in good conscience vote for it because then I would be fiscally irresponsible.
There you. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We've put the call out there, Marty. We'll see if she decides to take us
Well,
up.
Supervisor Dendanto has gotten back to us, and he said that he'd be willing to debate. So it's now just up to one person to make that decision whether she wants to face her opponent, if she feels that she's up to the task, if she really wants to be supervisor, right? I called George out the same way. George refused to debate me. My opinion was, if you refuse to come to the table for a debate, then then why would anybody vote for you? Right? I mean, I lost the election, but I still go back to, like, what are you voting for then? Like, do you even know what the hell you're voting for if he refused to even come to the table to actually have any of what he's been spewing challenged?
Well, that seems to be what's happening, right? People aren't. It's like debates just don't happen anymore, right? Same thing with the supervisor for the county executive. I don't think they had a debate either.
No, Steve
No,
Newhouse actually refused to debate Mike Sussman.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Sussman was demanding the
Right.
the debate, and I think that's really up to us to really
and
debate,
to be honest with you,
push it.
Right. And I like Steve Newhouse. He's a nice guy, but that to me was a point of contention with me. Right? Like if you believe in something, right, and you believe you are the best person for the job, okay, then you should be able to get up in front of everybody, right, against your opponent and say why.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's and these things are so important because that's where you get the most information about your candidates and where they really stand on things that matter. But
because they're being questioned and they're being challenged by their opponent on some of the inaccuracies that they tell the public, right? Which is why you're seeing more and more
Good point.
politicians not debate, right? Not choose not to debate because they don't want to get challenged. They like to continue spewing their lies to people, right? Because then they can never be said, well, I was never challenged on that, right? Like, no, you can go say what you want, which may be the truth, but their lies never get challenged.
Right. Good point. All right. All right. I think we're gonna wind up here. That's good information, and we should definitely push for debates. So anyway, think anything more? Anything you want to? I think you covered everything today.
We've gone 18 minutes over. I think we're done. I think we're losing people. I think time to wrap it up.
All right, guys. All right. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Check out the Daily Gripe. We've got some content, some new content we put up there. So it's the Daily Gripe. That's our sister podcast where we mostly handle national stuff. And we'll have some more information about if and when we go live with that channel. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for your questions and your comments. We appreciate you. And we will see you next time. We love you guys. Take care.
Peace out.